the question is, what was it like to be a record producer in the 80s? It was great. It's the best gig I ever had. It was fun. It was. I mean, I had a lot of bright moments. You know, like playing my first gig when I was 15, playing Madison Square Garden with Michael Jackson, being nominated for Grammys for songwriting. It was all great. But the thing that I loved the most was producing records. What does a record producer do? That's an excellent question. The term producer is used a million different ways in the show business universe. You know, theatrical producers that mount shows or do revival screenings of old films. There's film producers, could be, I mean, they have multiple different roles depending on what it is. Might be the person who owns bought the screen rights for a play or a novel, and they make the deal with the studio to get it done, and it's their thing. They hire the director, or they might be working for the studio and just keeping an eye on the production to make sure that they don't waste money and it moves efficiently. And then in music these days, people that make beats call themselves producers, and that's fine because they are producing music. But a record producer is more analogous to a film director, because a movie director is responsible for everything that you see on the screen. Ultimately, it's the end of thousands of decisions that person has made to get to what you're seeing on screen. The same thing goes for making a record. Everything from the song choice to the key it's in, to the way it's arranged, to the way it's orchestrated, to the choice of the musicians, the way that it's recorded, everything goes into it. The producer bears responsibility for that. And for me, I just absolutely loved it, because especially when I got to do produce an album for someone other than myself. The first album I produced was my own album. And that was a different thing, because I felt like I had to play all the parts and justify having an album, even though it was a producer's album, but I wasn't really yet a producer. So I leaned into the part of me that plays keyboards and synthesizers and all that, the songwriting. But when it came time to produce another artist, then all that was lifted, and I could become more third person, and more your role is guidance, and to help artists get their best performance and put their best foot forward, and it goes everything. And the first one that I did was this guy, John Gibson. It was his first album, and John was on my first album on 3 songs, because Dick Griffey found him, or he found Dick Griffey, or whichever way it was. But and Dick signed him to Solar Records at the same time, and I put him to good use on my first album, and he did a great job. So then the next project was to do what became his first album. We spent a lot of time. John was a songwriter as well as a really talented singer. He was a good songwriter, and he had tons of songs. We spent a lot of time listening to him and choosing what I thought were the best. And the label provided some songs. Dick Griffey had us record a song that Carrie Lucas wrote. And I put that into kind of a reggae style arrangement, and it turned out nice.
Secret thoughts told to a friend, he wanted you loving him. I guess he hoped you might take me fool. Yeah, told you that I love loved you. Now you know I love you, it's true.
But the cool thing about it, so we choose the songs, and then the next thing is to do the arrangements. Make sure the key is right, the tempo is right, and then decide how you want to record it. And the coolest thing about being a producer for a label and you've got a budget is you can pick up the phone and you can call any musician as easy as calling Domino's and ordering a pizza. You could call the best musicians in LA, so I did. I felt that one tune would benefit from a steel guitar. So I called up Sneaky Pete from the Flying Burrito Brothers and got him down there. And he was a complete professional, and what he came up with sat in the track perfectly. I mean, it was
Man called today asking about the rent. And it's all
it was so cool. I called Snuffy Walden, and Snuffy is a guy that I knew from back in the days in Cheyenne. Snuffy had a band in Denver called Aphrodite, and they would come up to play at the Frontier Park Pavilion in Cheyenne every now and again. And all my garage band buddies and I would go, and we were complete groupies to that band because they were so good. They were good enough, in fact, that they got signed to Emerson, Lake and Palmer's label Manticore. They had to change their name to Stray Dog because Aphrodite had been taken, I guess, by some Greek goddess, I don't know. But so I ran into Snuffy when they were the opening act for Emerson, Lake and Palmer. I crashed the sound check at the Boston Garden when I was going to Berklee College of Music. And Snuffy remembered me, and then I'm riding around in their limousine, and he's living the life of a rock star. Later, I'm listening to Stevie's songs in the key of life, and I'm hearing Stevie saying, "Play as funky as you can, Snuffy." And look at the credits. Here's Snuffy on All Day Sucker playing, being Snuffy. He's a great guitarist. So I knew he was in LA, and sure enough, I called him and we reconnected, and he played killer lead guitar on a song on John's album.
that ain't no way, no way to live. That just ain't no way to live.
It was just, that kind of thing was so much fun. I could call anybody. I got Ernie Watts on saxophone, Larry Williams from Seawind. John Robinson played drums on almost the whole album. Jonathan Moffett from the Jacksons band played on one song. It was just great. At one point, it was almost a pinch me, I must be dreaming moment, because I'm laying down a track live with John Robinson, J.R. Robinson, Quincy Jones, the drummer, and Nate Watts, Stevie Wonder's bass player, and me, the kid from Cheyenne. And we're just playing to a click track, laying down what became one of the tunes. It was just so much fun. We added guitars, and I got Stevie's guitar player, Ben Bridges. Greg Doty was a guy that I met from that band I was with. I was in with Al McKay. A great player and a great guy. So it was just a lot of fun. The single was the song called "She Told Me So," which was total synth pop. It was kind of different from the other tunes on the album. The album was kind of eclectic, but "She Told Me So" was definitely had an 80s vibe to it, and very poppy. And everybody thought that it was going to be a hit. And the label actually had a video made for it. Spent a lot of money. These guys shot on film. The only thing you can find of it on YouTube is a sadly degraded, blurry video, and it's a shame because somewhere out there the higher quality versions must exist. But that was fun. I got a cameo in the video, playing my synth guitar. And it was just great fun to go every day to the studio and just work. And everybody tried to make it everything the best they could. John's album did not meet expectations. We all hoped it would be big. It wasn't. And I don't know why. You know, it's hard to Monday morning quarterback stuff like that. I know it was promoted, and just the fact that they made a video says a lot for that. So the label was completely behind it, but it didn't happen, and you never know why. But I don't know. I went from there, and I did a song for Carrie Lucas. It was a remake of the song Going in Circles. That was nice. And then I got a call to meet with a guy who was doing songs for a motion picture. Would I be interested? Yes, of course. And the motion picture was this, Footloose. I met with Dean Pitchford. Dean Pitchford is a guy who he started out as a songwriter. Now he's also a very accomplished author and a playwright. But he wrote the song Fame, the title song from the movie Fame, which won Best Song at the Oscars that year. And he took that and used that Oscar to shop a screenplay he had written, which was Footloose. And Dean's a savvy guy. He insisted that he be allowed to write all the songs that appear in the film. So there it was. And as we all know, the soundtrack was huge. Kenny Loggins' title song was mighty and awesome, many great tunes. And then what I did was got a chance to work with Shalimar, who was one of Solar's top artists, and do Dancing in the Sheets.
Here's the exciting Shalimar with their new smash, Dancing in the Sheets.
And that became a hit. And everything changed. And I started getting phone calls and offers. I was attending screenings of other films, being asked to solicit songs for them. And it was amazing. And I felt like I had finally, after having some, doing albums that had not, projects that had not really done anything, to finally have a hit was like, okay, that worked. And that led to my pursuing a project that led to the end of the whole thing, because it was a particularly highly visible fail. And that will be the subject of the next video. So anyway, that'll give you some idea of what it was like to be a producer in the 80s. And actually, it's not that different from being a producer now, except now the studios are all using Pro Tools or a different kind of digital setup. They don't use tape. We were recording on tape. But other than that, it's essentially the same. If you're recording with musicians. But a lot of what has changed over the years is that almost all of the recording studios that I worked at and recorded at are gone, and it's kind of sad. I mean, it's been replaced by people being able to do studio quality stuff in their home. I'm not so sure that it works. I mean, one thing about having a producer is you've got somebody who hopefully is objective and on your side as an artist, or you may wind up just being a puppet of that producer. Those are kind of not great stories. But good producers want the best for their artists, and they want the artist to put their best foot forward. And it's invaluable to have objective ears of somebody that you, as an artist, have confidence in, and you trust their opinion. And there has to be a lot of trust involved. And it says something that someone like Paul McCartney, who knows his way around recording studios, still uses producers because he wants the feedback. A lot of artists, when they could be producing themselves, still rely on having a good producer to be their ears, to be. You can't really be objective about your own stuff the way an outside person can. So you find somebody you trust and you go with them, like Michael had with Quincy, and that kind of thing, like the Beatles had with George Martin. And it's a beautiful thing. And it's still going on. It's just, the music business has just changed so much that I don't really recognize it anymore. It's a different animal than it was back then. So that's one of the things that is different. But it was great fun, and I loved it. I loved the best thing about being a producer was when you were hired for the entire album. And you could be part of shaping the album because, if you've made a mixtape, you know what sequencing a group of songs is like. You think, well, let's see, now I need something here and I need a change up here and this and that and the other. And we had to plan it out like that. And when you were recording for vinyl, you had time constraints. It had to be like 20, 22 minutes per side. Otherwise, you're going to, when you go to master it, you're going to be in trouble with the levels. So anyway, there were considerations with things. And you would supervise that all the way from before you ever set foot in the studio to choosing the songs, meeting with the artist, making sure the keys are right, getting the arrangements right, choosing the musicians, choosing the studio. We went back to Alan Zentz because I loved that place. That was home. And then mixing, supervising the mixing, approving the mixing, and then mastering, getting it mastered. and taking a test acetate home and putting it on your turntable and deciding, yeah, I don't know. But I was fortunate to work with really good mastering engineers, and there was hardly ever any second guessing those guys. And again, there was a trust thing where you just go in and say, tell me what you think it needs. And they listen, and those guys, that's your last chance to, put a tweak here, a little brighten this up, or, the bass is muddy or whatever. Good mastering engineer is worth every dime that they get. So that's that story. Next time I'll tell you all about the one that brought it to a grinding halt. If you like my stories, please subscribe and share and like and do all the things that YouTube viewers are expected to do. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.